Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Spotlight on Influencers. This new episode is going to be on Julian Assange, as I promised. I know it's been a couple of weeks, maybe a few weeks since I've put up a video, but I've got some recalibration going on with this new Venus ascent cycle, and I've required some time to facilitate that recalibration within my own physical body. So here I am, I'm back, and I'm excited to do this episode on Julian Assange. Now, what I can tell you is as I was getting ready, or as I was completing this video slide, the video slides for him, when I looked outside my solarium window, there was this huge, I would say almost 3-foot tall great blue heron right on this side of the pond, right close to the back of my building, and he was gorgeous. So I took a moment to look up the message that the totem of the great blue heron would have for Julian. And sure enough, didn't surprise me at all after looking at his chart that the message of the great blue heron has to do with trusting your own innate wisdom to be able to, call on and use your own self-determination and your own self-reliance. And we can imagine, after all that he has been through, that he has really perfected the art of this medicine that comes from the great blue heron as a totem, being able to rely on himself, trust his wisdom, trust his guidance, and to really be able to determine for himself how he is choosing to be with himself in this situation. So that was pretty magical. I love that these synchronistic, magical things are happening as I'm putting together the slides for these episodes. So the one thing I need to tell you about this chart is that it's also a chart that does not have a birth time. And for me to give you a lot of specifics, particularly regarding the relationship path that they're walking, I need to have that specific birth time, but I'm learning how to navigate and pull out significant messages even without that birth time. So that's what I'm going to do for you today as well. So the first thing I want to point out to you, which I can tell you, is that here is his natal moon, and very likely that this is accurate because the moon switches signs every 2.5 days. So with it being at 7 degrees, almost 8 degrees of Scorpio, this is the glyph for Scorpio, this is the glyph for the moon, I feel very confident telling you that the ancient lineage that Julian has incarnated from is the lineage of the shaman, the sorcerer. So if you can think of Merlin from King Arthur as a sorcerer, and also the alchemist. This is the kind of lineage that he comes in with. And so we can see just from his lineage that he does have the ability to be able to, within himself, alchemize his external environment in a way that it does not interfere or impose on his internal environment. That's the way I would choose to say that. Very, very powerful lineage, because this is the lineage that calls on what we call the Shakti, the Kundalini, that creative life force energy. So he's a master of that energy, and he's a master of being able to, navigate other realms move through dimensions and so forth. And so he is able to be in a very harsh 3D environment without it affecting him emotionally and mentally. And I can either assert that even further by the fact that he has his Mercury here in Cancer, and it's in trine to Jupiter here in Scorpio. So his ability to use his emotional guidance system as a source of power to control his environment is a huge blessing for him. So the next thing I want to point out to you then is he just had a birthday at the beginning of July 3rd. So he has a whole new solar return chart. And with that solar return chart that was cast on July 3rd, there's a very, very powerful aspect in his solar return chart that is going to be facilitating his evolution over the course of this year. So I'll talk about that in just a minute, but before we get into what's going on in his solar return chart, want to just take a moment and bring your attention down here to his natal north node in Aquarius and his natal Pluto in Virgo. And so for me, Pluto is all about the soul, who the soul is, what the soul mission is, so to speak. And for me, the North Node is, okay, what is the route that soul is going to take in order to accomplish its mission? And that's what the North Node tells us. So with Pluto here in Virgo, I can tell you that Julian is a soul who is completely dedicated to the service of the sacred feminine, that which you might call the goddess, that which I call the Sophia consciousness. He is totally in service to the sacred feminine / Sophia consciousness. Now, how is it that he is going to, through this particular lifetime, be in service to the sacred feminine? And that's what this North Node and Aquarius is showing us. And as I've been talking about through these episodes, and if you go to my YouTube channel for the Roseville Mystery School, you'll see in my Sacred Feminine playlist library on the Ascent videos. So we've just had 3 classes on the Ascent phase of the Venus synodic cycle for the Gemini goddess. I am talking about, and even in my blog postings, you can go back to my blog postings at goldenraycenter.com and read through there how I am talking about that right now. We as a collective are experiencing the second coming of Christ. And the way that we are experiencing the second coming of Christ is that through each and every one of us, the Sophia consciousness, that feminine aspect that is the beloved of the masculine aspect, the Christ, the Sophia consciousness is emerging through us as the second coming of Christ. And so as she is doing that, each of our energetic centers is being opened up to our multidimensional self and recalibrated. We have to be recalibrated. Our bodies have to be recalibrated physically and energetically to be able to go from being able to work and thrive in 3D to being able to navigate, is probably a better word than work, navigate and thrive in 5D and above. So this Aquarius energy, where he has his, trying to get my mouse to work for me so I can show you here, where he has his North Node, is saying that he is like totally open to himself as a multidimensional being. He knows himself as a multi-dimensional being. He has access to the leading edge intelligence of his multi-dimensional being, and he's using that to uplift the collective consciousness of humanity in service to the sacred feminine, in service to the Sophia consciousness as she emerges through him as a part of the second coming of Christ. So, I mean, we are so blessed to have him here on the planet at this time. Now, the next thing that I want to show you then is going to take us to his solar return chart. And I am trying to be mindful. I've given myself about 15 minutes to do these videos, and there's so much I want to say, and I've got to kind of rein it in. But I want to show you here how this glyph here is the goddess Juno, the goddess of sacred partnership in the sign of Sagittarius, and it is opposite his solar north node in Gemini. So his entire higher mind, which is Gemini, is all about bridging the polarities of the brain, the right brain, the left brain, bridging that polarity and bringing them into sacred union with each other so that he can then take these polar energies, polarized energies, blend them and bring them up and manifest a higher frequency. And what is the higher frequency that he's going to be manifesting? It's going to be about shifting from 3D, left brain, right brain, lower mind, into the truth of us as being multidimensional, infinite, eternal beings, and bringing that up into the higher mind that is in what we would call this unified source field. So this is a huge thing that he is going to be working on over the course of this evolutionary path until next July 3rd. And the reason why it is so significant in terms of how he is helping to uplift humanity is because as he himself is able to bridge the polarities, the hemispheres of his brain, the polarities of his lower mind, as he is able to bridge them, bring them into sacred union, then he is able to access these higher truths by the higher mind. And as he does that for himself, he is facilitating for each of us as a part of humanity to also be able to do that. And let me just say that this Gemini goddess Venus synodic cycle is all about that very same journey, bridging the polarities of the hemispheres of our brain and bringing our lower mind up into our higher mind, where we can at will access and communicate the unified source field. So that's huge. That's encoded in his chart. He will be doing that, as I said, through the course of this whole next year. And as he's doing that, we as a collective, because we're all a part of this hologram, we then also attain the ability to do that as well. So the next aspect that I want to show you here, which is really significant, is you'll see here his Yeshua. Remember that Yeshua is the embodiment of the Christ consciousness and is the beloved of Mary Magdalene, right? Oops, where is she? Right here in his solar return chart. Magdalene, the beloved of Yeshua. Magdalene, who is the embodiment of the Sophia consciousness. And so this trine, which is a very harmonious flow of energy from one air element, Gemini, to another air element, Libra. And Libra is all about sacred partnership. In fact, you could say that the goddess Juno is the goddess of the sign Libra, because we are all about sacred partnership. And we know that the Sophia Christ consciousness is the sacred union of Christ and Sophia. And that is what Yeshua and Magdalene demonstrated when they walked on this planet 2,000 years ago. And so this harmonious relationship between Yeshua and Magdalene through this trine is supporting everything that he's doing this year on his evolutionary journey. So this is a big piece for him. And then the big piece that I alluded to earlier is here we have Mars in the sign of Leo. And a lot of people talked about on July 3rd, Mars being square Uranus in Taurus down here. This is Uranus, this is Taurus. A lot of people talked about that square. You can Google that and get information on that. It happened, the square, the exact square happened on that day. It's encoded in his chart. What most people, nobody that I've heard of yet, has talked about is that this square is just one half of what we call a T square. And the way that a T square looks is you've got the top of a T and then you've got the stem of the T. So the top of the T is created by an opposition, two luminary bodies 180 degrees across the sky from each other. So we've got Mars here in Leo and we've got Saturn retrograde here in Aquarius. And from the top of that T, their energy is pointing directly at Uranus in Taurus. So let me tell you, Uranus is all about liberation, moksha, enlightenment for the collective consciousness of humanity, liberating the collective humanity. And in Taurus, it's about embodying that liberating energy within us. And what is the liberating energy? The liberating energy is this second coming of Christ. Mars, the sacred masculine, known as the Christ consciousness, in the sign of Leo. Leo, that is the heart chakra being birthed through Saturn, or as I call her, Saturnia, the cosmic gateway. Everything from way out there that is going to show up here has to come through the cosmic gateway of Saturnia to be able to show up here. And so the cosmic Christ coming through Saturnia from our multidimensional self to be birthed within our heart centers is what's going to allow us to embody this liberating energy of the Sophia Christ consciousness, the second coming of Christ as the emergence of Sophia through us. There's so much more I'd love to share with you on this, but right now that's about all the time I have. Again, if this topic on the second coming of Christ and the Sophia Christ consciousness is interesting to you, please go back and look at my mystery school videos through the Sacred Feminine playlist, the past 3 or 4 videos, and go back and look at my blogs at goldenraycenter.com. So these are the episodes that I have now done for this series, Spotlight on Influencers. I'm really excited about my next episode, trying to decide between 2 people. I've got in mind Melania Trump, and I've also got General Flynn. Those 2 in mind, I'm trying to decide between them. If you'd like to have any input as to which one of those I do next, you're welcome to contact me here through my contact page on my website, goldenraycenter.com. If you have any other ideas for whom you would like me to do an episode on, you can send those suggestions to me through my contact page as well. And if you come up with somebody, one of the ways that you can help me, particularly if you know the person that you're recommending, if you can send me these birth details, especially the time of birth, that will help me tremendously. The other way that you can help me is by sharing these episodes with your friends and family and through your social networks. And these are the social networks that I am on, where you can find me: Rumble, Getter, Telegram, Safe Chat, Facebook, and Twitter. So I hope that you will come there and check me out in those places. And finally, what I would like to say is thank you for giving my videos a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Send you my love, heart to heart, and I'll see you on the next episode. And until then, remember, keep your frequency up and fly high. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.